right, welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. On today's show, it's just Connor and I, and we do NBA everything. We talk about the Lakers, their dysfunction. The Clippers and Nets are the same old Clippers and Nets that we know. Why are the Jazz and the Spurs good? The Hornets, what is going on with them? Why are they kind of good, but we all think it levels out? We get into everything, the Pelicans, you name it. We talk about it in the podcast today. Awesome show for you. And FYI, make sure to check out KarterKast.com. Those articles and blogs will be coming out like hotcakes. We're going to be doing multiple blogs a day, putting them out like crazy. I'll be doing 1 to 2 blogs a day. Dylan's putting out blogs. Connor's going to be putting out blogs. We're putting out way more blogs. Make sure to check out KarterKast.com. Follow us on all social media and everything. We're going to get some guests back on the podcast this month. We got a big November coming up. Huge month for us. The biggest sports month, maybe in the history of life. We have the World Cup, NBA, college football, college basketball, NFL, NBA again, like I mentioned, other soccer games before the World Cup. It's going to be the biggest month ever in sports history. I cannot wait. We'll be here every step of the way. Make sure to check out KarterKast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Check out the YouTube. Do what you can to help out. We really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoy today's show. All right, let's get into basketball. Let's just roll right into it. Why are the bad teams good in the NBA? We have the teams like the Utah Jazz, the San Antonio Spurs are almost at the top of their conference. We did our NBA win totals podcast. Obviously, we skimmed right over those. We thought they were going to be terrible.
Yep.
Why are they winning games?
I don't know the exact reason why. First of all, I'm excited to get back into basketball. Love the NBA's back. Some people may say it feels a little too early. I think it's nice. It's nice because there's always something on every night. Weeknights, doesn't matter. Why are the bad teams good, though? It's a good question because I didn't expect this at all. We had the Jazz under. We had the Spurs under locked in, like mortal locks. Like no way the Jazz were winning above 25 games. I just think a part of it is there's no pressure. Like these guys are still NBA players. They're the best in the world. There's a group of talented players on the Utah Jazz, maybe not big name players you think would be good, but Kelly Olynyk's putting up numbers this year. Lauri Markkanen is putting up numbers as a number one option. You have guys in Utah especially that have been good in the past. So maybe it's not as surprising that they're putting up numbers this early in the year because there's still some of that, new teams having new big names, players coming off injuries. They're still trying to figure it out. The Utah Jazz are playing with nothing to lose. And sometimes that's the best option.
I think there's part of that. I think the no pressure thing is huge. The other thing I noticed whenever I went to the Jazz and Nuggets game, like I've watched the Jazz, I watched the Spurs. They're playing just team basketball. It's not about one person. And that's what's so crazy in the NBA. You have these scenes like the Nets or the Clippers where so much relies on one person like Kevin Durant. It's all ISO ball. No one gets in the flow. And like you mentioned, there's still NBA players. There's still good NBA players like Malik Beasley, Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson can explode for 35 on any given night.
Yep.
These are still good NBA players. And when they play team basketball, you can see that you can be anybody on any given night, and that's why the Warriors are so good. Obviously, they've come up to a rough start. We expected this coming in. I mean, championship hangover. No one's going to give a crap about October, November regular season basketball games. They're just not. They're going to be fine. I still think they're going to at least make it to the Western Conference Finals, maybe the finals. But they're playing team basketball. The Jazz, the Spurs, I mean, even the Rockets to some extent. Teams like the Magic are not, and they're just bad anyways. It's just – I watched almost the entire game of the Mavs Magic last night. All I saw was just ISO ball. Here, Paolo, your turn. Here, Franz Wagner, your turn. But when these guys play team basketball, they play good. And it's just managing egos in the NBA. When you have a guy on a max deal, he thinks I should get the ball every single time.
Yeah.
If you just move the ball, play not necessarily, college style basketball, but some form of like the old Suns, the Warriors, like these teams are so much better when they play that way and they play for each other instead of themselves, as cliche and as corny as that is to say.
I agree. And I think that's part of the reason why I think these standings will even out. I think
100% talent will. Yeah, exactly. Talent wins out.
Well, as teams start figuring it out more and like as the season goes on, quite frankly, they just start caring more when it hits January and they're like, oh man, we're still fighting for a play-in spot. We were projected to be the number 3 seed in the conference this year. Teams start to care a little bit more. And honestly, what does Danny Ainge do in this situation? Not to like harp on the Jazz too long, but is he mad? Because obviously the Jazz aren't going to make any noise. Like even if they like somehow made the play-in tournament, they're just like lessening their odds for a generational talent right now. And with Danny Ainge's history, is he mad at this? Don't lie.
I think he's just I think he's going to make some big decisions on, like, we're going to tank hard. I really do think, like, a guy like Russell Westbrook ends up in Utah, but the thing is, I don't think he plays a minute if he gets traded to Utah. I think they do what the Thunder did with Al Horford and just make him sit. Not even buy him out. Just sit him.
Wow. I can see that happening as well. I don't know.
They are not going to win these games. Danny Ainge does not want to win these games. And you saw the meme. You saw the meme of him sitting behind Will Hardy with the SpongeBob meme, like, surprised look, like, what the crap are we doing?
It's just crazy because you see some of these Jazz games, and like I've seen some highlights. Jordan Clarkson on that game-stealing 3 by Malik Beasley drives in. 99% of the time, he's pulling up for that contested mid-range, or just not even passing it, contested layup, something. He skip passes it over a defender to Malik Beasley wide open in the corner. I've watched Jordan Clarkson for a lot of years. I love the NBA. I have never seen him make a play like that, especially in the fourth quarter. So that was kind of crazy to watch. Maybe you're right about the whole team basketball thing. Maybe they've just bought in. They're like, screw it. We're kind of the forgotten players that, like, oh, we're the trade pieces that, like, ended up in Utah just because Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert got traded. And we're the players that ended up here because nobody, they were the ones traded for somebody else trying to get a star, is what I'm trying to say. So they were the ones that were like, oh, we're not valued. So maybe they're just like, screw it. We're buying in. We're still NBA players. It's kind of baffling though. I had no expectations of this.
The Spurs one is even more surprising, but I really think the Spurs one's going to level out hard. I think we're going to see a stretch where, like, in January, all of a sudden you're going to check Twitter and you're like, oh my gosh, the Spurs are on a 13-game losing streak. I feel like that notification is, like, bound to happen. That tweet there's no way the Spurs keep it up. They could easily hit 21 wins though.
I mean, if you compare the Jazz and the Spurs rosters, there is many more notable names on the Jazz roster than the Spurs. If you look at the Spurs lineup, who is it? Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson's their best player. Trey Jones, Devin Vassell when he's healthy, Doug McDermott, and Jakob Poeltl. Is that their lineup? Something like that.
Yep.
And then their bench, I guarantee a semi-NBA fan could not name more than 2 players on the Spurs bench. Guaranteed. I'm serious. Zach Collins, like, I forgot he was even in the league. He's been hurt for the last 3 years. That will even out more, I think. I think I'm more surprised by the Spurs being, 5-2, you said?
Yep.
I'm more surprised by that just because of the level of talent they have on their team. But Keldon Johnson's balling. I thought when they traded Murray, they were going to win maybe 15, 20 games.
And I think they still could. I mean, there's a long season ahead. They can go on these big. And these organizations obviously want to tank for Victor Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson, whatever. Yep. They're going to make some calls where some of these guys are going to get benched or get sent down playing. A lot of guys currently on the Austin Spurs are going to be playing for the San Antonio Spurs come March, April, maybe even February, 100%. So, I mean, I'm not, but 20.5, I think they could definitely hit that. I have one little spooky question for you.
Wait, what?
Who's better? Who's better?
My mic cut out. Say it one more time.
Who's better, Jazz or Lakers?
At this very moment in time, the way they're playing the Utah Jazz, they're playing better.
I talked about this before the season started. The Lakers are inevitably doomed unless you have shooters. You can't win basketball games in the NBA today if you can't shoot the daggum ball. It's that simple. Like, yes, you can play bully ball. LeBron can get his 30, whatever, because it's spaced out enough. But eventually, you have to have guys who can stretch the floor, make a 3-ball, and keep you guys honest on defense. Otherwise, the Lakers can't score. They can't, and they're lazy on defense. Everybody's lazy. They're all old, injury-prone. On the end of their careers. Anthony Davis is,
made of glass.
Made of glass. We said this before. And let's kind of transition here talking about, like, the Clippers and the Nets and stuff. Why do we deviate from what we know in the NBA? We know the Lakers can't shoot the ball and can't do this stuff. Why would anybody think they're going over? Why would we, like, it's gambler's fallacy. Like, you know what? Like, I just think they can do it. No, we know they can't shoot the ball. Why would we go over on them? Lakers stink. Why would we go over on the Clippers having 52.5 wins in the Western Conference? We know Kawhi Leonard is never in his career ever going to play 60-plus games in a season. Ever. He's just not. He can't do it. He can't play starting minutes 60-plus games. It's just not going to happen. And why do we just continually think, you know what? The Nets situation is going to get better when Ben Simmons still can't shoot the ball. He is scared. Kyrie Irving is still a diva. Kevin Durant is still amazing, but he's still Kevin Durant at the end of the day and makes weird decisions. They all hate Steve Nash. He's going to be the scapegoat. Why do we deviate from what we know in these things?
I don't know. It really is gambler's fallacy. You just kind of talk yourself into it. You're like, no way a team with a healthy LeBron and a quote unquote healthy AD, no way they're this bad again, right? Because that's kind of what I was thinking at first. I was like, they have a good chance to go over. It wasn't a lot for me, but I was like, if they figure it out early in the year, like they have a chance to go over. I don't see that at all anymore. Even with Westbrook coming off the bench, it just still doesn't seem like it works. Like this team would have thrived in the 2009 finals when it was like Lakers Celtics and it was like 80-70 every finals game. That's more what this team is built for. In today's basketball, you don't see a team run a lineup with more than one person that can't shoot. The only team I see do that is the Cavaliers, and Evan Mobley is like a very subpar three-point shooter. He takes a few a game. That's just because they're monsters on defense, crazy athletic.
They also have guards who can actually shoot.
And create offense.
Exactly.
Too. Create their own shot, and they can shoot from the outside. With the Lakers, it's like you have Westbrook, you have Patrick Beverley, which are two good players, cannot make a shot from outside. When LeBron is the best three-point shooter in their starting lineup, even with his improvements in the last few years of his career, that's horrible. Like Lonnie Walker, great piece, doesn't fit in the starting five with LeBron, AD, Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverley. Troy Brown is their best shooter now. Like if you're relying on Troy Brown to be your number one three-point shooter in volume, that's just not a recipe for success at all.
Yeah, I never got the Lakers thing. I obviously went under. I didn't take it. I wish I would have. Shout out PointsBet. They already cashed everybody's under tickets for the season on the Lakers.
So they already said the Lakers bet other things. They can bet other things. It's a mind game with that.
It's genius by them. Genius. But yeah, like the Lakers, LeBron's gonna get his 30 points a night. I would be genuinely surprised if he's not stat padding. I would be very surprised if LeBron is playing basketball come March, April.
If they're 10 games under 500, I don't think he plays much more basketball after he breaks the record. Whenever that occurs, if they're like legitimately out of playing contention, I don't think he plays much more the rest of the year.
Because he's clearly stat padding. That's all he's doing.
But honestly, I've given a lot of like slack or hate to LeBron over the couple of years. Can you blame him? I can't blame him at all.
Yes, I can blame him because he built this team. He built this team.
He did not build this team.
Yeah, yes, he built this team. How are you saying LeBron James did not build this team? He built all of his teams besides the previous Cavs team. He built this team. He wanted Westbrook. How do you not understand that?
That is true. Now, the Westbrook part is true. He made that bet. He should have to line it. I said that whenever they made the trade.
But what did he not? What did he not do?
I don't think if it was his choice, he would be having Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker, Austin Reeves, and Kendrick Nunn as his best shooters around him. You're telling me that's the best they can do?
But by him wanting Russell Westbrook, they are so cap strapped that they can't get anybody else by that. And it's LeBron's fault because he wanted Russell Westbrook. And now he's begging to get Russell Westbrook out of town. They can slight digs at him and everything. Yeah. This is LeBron's fault. Every like LeBron sexual just goes off and is like, yeah, LeBron's team, the GM sucks. Rob Pelinka sucks. Yeah, Rob Pelinka may suck, but LeBron built this team. Nothing goes through that organization without LeBron giving the thumbs up on it.
That is true. And I agree with that. But this season alone, if you just put this season in a box, the way the team has turned out, the way they look so far, if he just starts stat padding in February and just tries to break some records and get way ahead of Kareem, I'm not mad. It is what it is. I'm not mad. If they legitimately can't win, because let's be honest, he's tried to make it work with this team, and it just doesn't.
He made his own bed. I don't feel bad.
I don't feel bad, but I'm just saying if he started stat padding the last couple months of the year, he deserves that. He has every right to.
But then it's kind of like, is it a fake record? Like, obviously it's not a fake record because, scoring 38,500 points is absurd in its own right. But also, was the last 3,000 points like kind of a joke?
He's going to get it anyways.
Exactly. But it's just annoying to watch because on defense too, he just like points. He doesn't move. He just points. He's that guy at pickup. Probably, just points.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, though. He's in his 20th year. At a certain point.
No, I'm not. I'm saying it's impressive, but he still made his own bed, and I don't want to hear him complain.
He did. He did make his own bed. 20th year though, I would be kind of like, when is somebody else going to take the load off me? That's honestly what LeBron needs in this phase of his career.
But he was kind of doing that in his like 7th year.
That is true. That is true. You know what? That's fine. I don't feel bad for him, but I'm not hating on him either. It's just 20th year. I mean,
let's move on. I don't want to talk about the crappy Lakers anymore. Are the Warriors in trouble?
I don't think they're in trouble. I will say this though. They're not the team they were last year. Actually, let me rephrase that. Last year and this year, they weren't the team they were a couple of years ago. Even last year, Clay came back from the injury, very inconsistent. And it seems like he's trying to shoot himself back into the form he was in 6 years ago. And that shouldn't be how it is, because he comes in and shoots 6 for 17, 3 for 13. That's hurting the team. And his defense isn't up to par where it used to be. He used to be the best two-way guard in the league. He'd score 25 a game and guard the other team's
best player. He
gets
cooked on defense right now.
He does. And I'm not saying that's his fault. Like the injuries, I understand that completely. But he's not where he was, and neither is Draymond Green. Draymond looks a little better this year than Clay does. What do you think? I think they're a little washed up. I don't think they're in trouble. I think they'll be a top 4 or 5 seed for the playoffs, but I don't know if they make another title run unless Jordan Poole, Kuminga, Wiseman, somebody really steps up.
I think they'll be fine. I'm not worried at all. I think they'll end. I mean, I said this before the year. I think they'll be like a 3-4 seed because they genuinely don't care about the regular season. And they're a team that's played enough games together. They have that chemistry where I'm not worried about them when it comes to the playoffs. I'm not. So I'm not worried about them. But I did have a little comparison for you. This isn't the one I talked to you about the podcast I was excited about. This is one I just thought of like on the spot. Is Klay Thompson the exact same thing as JJ Redick now?
I don't know if I would go that far. I feel like JJ Redick was like an actual liability on defense.
It wasn't. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think he might be trending in that direction where all he's going to do is stand outside and shoot threes. I still see more of Klay driving to the rim, initiating contact, making a few more plays than I saw JJ Redick do. But I think he could be trending in that direction, sure.
As someone who watches almost every Warriors game, just because I just love how they play, they're so fun to watch.
They are.
I'm tired of watching Klay Thompson. It's pretty frustrating. It's frustrating when he gets the ball. Like I don't feel confident when he shoots anymore.
To 95% of the players in the league, other than him, that would be a bad shot. And just because it's Klay Thompson, he has that reputation. He's on the Warriors, free flowing style of basketball. They're like, oh, it just comes in the rhythm. It's it's a decent shot. If almost anybody else in the league was taking that shot, even some of the great players, if they were taking those shots, it would not be good. If they were missing them that much, people would be talking.
Yeah, I'm in defense of Klay. This is the time to shoot yourself out of a injury funk, that kind of thing.
It is.
Get these bad shots out of the way. November, October. Who cares?
I think Wiggins is going to have an even bigger role this year as the year goes on and into the playoffs.
He's been great. He's been great.
He might average 22, 23 points by the time the season ends. I think he'll be the second option on that team by the time the playoffs come around.
I was a big anti-Wiggins guy in Minnesota, and it just reaffirms that thing when like every good player we see in the NBA is like, oh, imagine him on the Warriors. Because they would be that good on the Warriors. They would just be that much better. Wiggins on the Warriors is unbelievable. It's his potential, what we thought he could be. And it's so refreshing to see. Like, imagine Jokic on the Warriors. He would be averaging 35, 15, and 15.
I mean, it's just the players that come to Golden State, they're allowed to just play within their own game. There's no pressure on them to do anything else. Because coming out of college, I mean, I don't know if I thought Wiggins was going to be like the next LeBron, like people were saying. So maybe his whole thing coming out of college was, okay, he's not going to score 30 a game, but maybe he's going to score 18, 7 rebounds, and guard their team's best player. But as number one pick, everybody's like, oh, you got to average 30. So now in the Warriors, he can just do what he does best. And that's what we're seeing right now in the system. Because you're playing with Curry and to a lesser extent, Klay, Jordan Poole, guys that space the floor. There's no pressure on him to score. None.
It also reaffirms my previous statement talking about the bad teams that team basketball works as crazy. Imagine something so simple working that well. Team basketball works in the NBA. All right, let's move on. Why are like another bad team that keeps winning, the Trailblazers? Why are they winning games?
I don't know, because I didn't peg them to win these many games either. Lillard's playing well, like he usually does in the regular season. Anthony, it's how you say it, Anthony Simons going off this year. He's been on a heater. Jeremy Grant, underrated acquisition. Josh Hart playing well. Nurkic, starting center. They have good pieces. Shaedon Sharp's been a good off the bench as a rookie. That dude can get up. I don't know. I think it's just effort, honestly. I really think it's effort. Like this early on, we're only 2 weeks into the season, so I don't want to write anybody off.
Like legs aren't tired. Legs are fresh right now. That's why like things will level out. Talent will ultimately win. That's enough about the Blazers. I don't really care about them. I want to do a little segment here. So we did our NBA win totals over under. Are there some you want to just say, you know what, I was wrong on? Take them back right now.
Wrong on. That's a good question. Do you have one in mind?
Yeah, I want to take away the Magic. Magic are done. The Magic,
they can't.
If you're a Magic fan, this is the perfect scenario. Because Paolo looks amazing. Wagner looks great. Yes, it hasn't like gelled together or anything. You don't want them to win basketball games. They're pretty competitive in these games. They ended up losing by 8 to 10 almost every game eventually. But they're losing basketball games. You're going to be in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. This is kind of the best of both worlds. I thought they were going to be a little more friskier and win some more games. Maybe they do throughout the season. I know we're only 7-8 games into an 82-game season, but I'm willing to chalk that up right now. I think the Magic will definitely go under 28.5, 27.5 games.
That was also one I felt not as strongly about as you, but I agree. But they are. They're exciting to watch, and they hang around against good teams. They just can't find a way to close, and that'll come with maturity. One that I don't know about right now, I bet the Rockets over. I think, what was it, 25, 24, 25, 23 even?
24.5, I think. 23.5. It was one of those.
I don't feel as confident about that anymore.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty, because I thought, okay, Spurs are going under, Jazz are going under. Now I'm not as confident because one of those teams at least is going over, which means the Rockets are probably going to be below them. So that one kind of hurts. I'm trying to think of any other ones.
The Nuggets? Are we worried about the Nuggets?
I don't think we're worried about the Nuggets. I think when Michael Porter and Jamal Murray kind of get their legs back under them, because it's been a while since they've played competitive basketball before this year, I think they'll be fine eventually. But I do think they'll be in that mid-tier in the West, like 5, 6. Don't want to say 7, maybe 7 seed, but like 5, 6 seed, where it's like, oh, okay, they had a mediocre regular season. They're still like the 3 seed should be scared to play that team as a 6 seed in the playoffs. So I wouldn't say I'm worried, but I don't know. They had some good acquisitions. Bruce Brown's a pretty good pickup. He's played some good ball this year.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I'm not worried
either. What about, okay, here's one for you. And this team really has been interesting this year, just with all the offseason drama, aging players. The Suns. DeAndre Ayton.
So I did say under on the Suns. And
they look pretty good.
They're a regular season team. They're one of those regular season teams. It's hard to say no. They won 64 games last year. Who's to say? Why would they not? I mean, are they 12 games worse? Probably not.
Probably not.
Devin Booker's balling right now.
That's less of a 12 games worse question and more of a, is the rest of the league 12 games better against them than they were last year? Ayton just tweaked his ankle. He'll be out a couple weeks. So Bismack Biyombo is a starting center. Shout out. But I don't know. I don't know about the Suns anymore because Chris Paul's another year older. I think their window's gone. As horrible as that is to say, I think it's gone.
Oh, the playoffs. I'm not concerned about them at all. I think, but they could be a 1, 2, 3 seed. I don't care. That's irrelevant. At the end of the day, like, I mean, if you're a team like the Warriors, like, why do you care? As long as you have home court advantage in the first round, like, you're gonna be fine if you're that talented. You've been in these road environments and these NBA arenas. Why are you scared? The Suns, I just don't think they have it in the playoffs.
Can we briefly bring up, I know we mentioned it earlier, the Clippers, because you're talking about team basketball and all that. I think what really screws the Clippers every year, because if you look at their roster, top to bottom, arguably they have the most talented roster in the league, just off names, reputations, different players, different positions.
Maybe off names. I would argue maybe the New Orleans Pelicans.
I would disagree with that. They're up there, but the Clippers roster legitimately has like 11 players that could get minutes on any team in the league. And I think that's hard for a lot of teams to say. No other team can say that. This load management stuff, I understand wanting to stay fresh in the playoffs. It doesn't matter because when you get to the playoffs, you haven't played together for 82 games or even 60 games because you have no idea what your lineups are going to look like because all these, guys are like, okay, like Kawhi's coming back for the playoffs. Paul George is back for the playoffs. John Wall is, done resting. Reggie Jackson's here. Oh, all these guys are going to gel together for the playoffs in the first round. That doesn't make any sense. They can't come together and not play in the regular season and then be fine for the playoffs. Like, just because you insert them into the lineup doesn't mean it's going to work. And that's what screwed them the last couple of years. It's always like, oh, let's wait for this guy to get back. And even with the Nets too, let's wait for this guy to get back. Then we'll be fine. Let's wait for this guy to get back and maybe he'll be okay. even though he's still a little banged up. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. That's what I mentioned before too. And it's never going to work. Why on earth do we think, okay, all of a sudden this team's going to be good? They're not. Let's just keep betting against them. Keep shorting the Clippers. Keep shorting the Nets. Keep shorting these dysfunctional franchise with players who are fragile and divas, basically, or egotistical players.
Is there something like seriously wrong with Kawhi Leonard? Because he's been out the last few games again. I think there's something like still lingering with that injury. I don't know, because there's no way he should be load managing like 3 games in a row.
Who knows? It's always going to be this way. It's always going to be this way with Kawhi Leonard. It's never going to change. Why? Like, it's been this way since he left the Spurs,
and he left
the Raptors.
He doesn't get slandered enough about it because Anthony Davis gets destroyed for his health, rightly so. Kawhi Leonard's missed more games over the last few years
because he plays for the Clippers. He doesn't play for the Lakers. Lakers run NBA media.
That is very true. It's like the Cowboys. God.
I'm trying to think here. I'm looking at both those rosters. The names on the Clippers look a little sexier. You know, like you have Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, John Wall, Zubac, Nick Batum,
Kennard,
Brandon Boston, Kennard.
I'm telling you, 11 to 12 players on that team would get rotational minutes on any team in the league.
But I actually genuinely think the Pelicans roster is just better. They're better players.
To like a real NBA fan, if you legitimately watch these games and know these players and not judge it off what you remember from these guys 3-4 years ago, then you're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at, obviously Zion, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas, Trey Murphy is.
I think I'm taking great. Trey Murphy over like a Luke Kennard or even a Norman Powell, dare I say.
Jose Alvarado, big energy off the bench. Devontae Graham, I mean, he's probably the most overpaid 8th, 9th man in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Dyson Daniels, you never know what he's going to be. Intriguing rookie. Herb Jones, I mean, he's glorified as the best defender in the NBA right now.
Their starting 5 is pretty good.
And let's talk about the Pelicans real quick. We were high on them before the season started.
We were.
And I just want to keep buying back in.
They do look good, and especially if Zion can stay healthy. He only missed a couple games with that injury. He looks fresh. He looks pretty fresh.
I mean, he's averaging 22. What is it? 22
7, I think.
I think it's 22, 8, and 3.5 assists, 2 steals a game.
They look good. I don't know. That roster construction is pretty good. I think they have a shot to make it to the second round of the playoffs this year. I don't know if I see them going further.
I arguably could see a Western Conference Finals run. We've seen worse teams make the Western Conference Finals. You know we have.
If Brandon Ingram averages 25, then and all the cards fall right in their favor.
Who was in the Western Conference Finals last year?
The Warriors
and who else?
You don't need to prove my point.
The Dallas Mavericks.
I know. You don't need to prove my point. And the Mavericks weren't that good. But you can say the same thing 2 years ago, the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's what I'm saying. I'm proving my point. I think the Pelicans can make the Western Conference Finals.
If everything falls in their favor, like maybe like Luka gets hurt or something, or the Grizzlies fizzle out, if things fall in their favor, then yes, it's not impossible, but I don't think I would bet on that.
I don't even know if things have to fall in their favor. I think this team is just that talented.
I don't know, dude. They were good last year in the playoffs because they were playing with nothing to lose. They had that. But if there's any type of expectations on them, I just don't know how they would do.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. But with Zion coming back, Zion is so good. He's so good.
He is. I think he's going to get his no matter what. I think really the key is either Brandon Ingram or CJ McCollum
kind of has to
put up 25 a game. Has to.
100%. You can't have a Brandon Ingram 3 for 15 game.
No, you can't. And in the playoffs, if he goes for 2 of those games, the series is over.
But they have guys off the bench who can light it up, kind of like Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham is good for 1 game a series to drop 4 threes for no reason.
Imagine how much LeBron would want to be on that team. Like if you replace Zion or Ingram with LeBron, like just the supporting cast of the Pelicans. Imagine if the Lakers had that. Devontae Graham in the corner, Trey Murphy's automatic from 3, Valanciunas stretch 5, McCollum. Like imagine if the Lakers had that. LeBron would cream himself.
Okay, but let's talk about that real quick. The Pelicans have the Lakers' first-round pick.
Unbelievable, because I've seen people like
Victor Wembanyama might be a Pelican from the Lakers.
I see casuals on Twitter like, oh, like the Lakers are smart, like they're gonna get Wembanyama. And I'm like, well, actually, if you knew anything about NBA, like you would know they don't own their pick.
Yeah, they have a pick swap. They have their pick swap.
Somebody was like, what if the Pelicans decided not to swap just to like keep the integrity of the game?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about that just for a quick second. Do you legitimately think the Lakers will be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes? You think they'll be that bad? Like bottom 5-6 in the league, that bad?
Bottom 8. If you're in the bottom 8, you're legitimately in.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know though, dude. I could see them in the play-in tournament.
If they're bottom 8, they're not. I don't know if they make the play-in.
God, if they're not in play-in contention, something has to happen, right? Somebody has to get traded. Russ has to get traded. They have to make some last-ditch effort to make the playoffs, right?
I know we're like dishing topics left and right. Back to the LeBron thing. Let's say they don't make the play-in, but he stat pads up 31 a game. Like, how is that meaningful?
I wouldn't say it's meaningful. I don't think I'd say it's meaningful, but you still have to go out and play against NBA guys getting those stats. Like, yes, stat padding the NBA, like, okay, but like you're still, but like still, like you still have to score those points.
You put Michael Porter Jr. on this Lakers team and get LeBron out of there. Michael Porter Jr. is going to put up 20 plus a game.
That may be true.
Like, come on, you can't use that. We saw Quinn Cook at some point. Like, I love Quinn Cook. No disrespect to Quinn Cook. We've seen Quinn Cook put up 15, 20 a game at the end of some seasons. Like, bad team. When you're a decent guy on
maybe like the last 5 games of the year, but if he's doing it for a couple of months, like teams are still playing competitive basketball. All right, enough on the Lakers. I'm done with the Lakers.
Yeah. Is Giannis going to win the MVP?
I think at this point, the way he's playing right now, he has to. And I know there's voters fatigue, and I agree that like there's some shady things that go into MVP voting. Bring up LeBron one more time. I think LeBron should have maybe 2 or 3 more MVPs in his career, to be completely honest. If we're talking about most valuable to your team, yes. This year's Giannis.
But gosh, I can't stand. We have to keep going back to this LeBron thing.
I know.
The only reason LeBron has that, maybe like one other year, he may should have won it, whatever. But the thing is, the reason why LeBron always gets that argument in his favor is because whenever the MVP award's given out in the second round of the playoffs, LeBron's dominated some team in the series, and they're like, why is LeBron not getting it? He's clearly the best player in these playoffs. I was like, yeah, it's a regular season award.
That's true. Well, right now I would say it's Giannis. Then I think Luka has a very good chance of staying there because the Mavericks would be nothing without him, and you can argue the Bucks would still be a playoff team without Giannis. Well, that's a tough statement. I don't know. I think the Mavs would be worse without Luka than the Bucks would be without Giannis. I'll just say that.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't know. I think Luka has an outside shot to win it. I mean, Jokic is he's playing good, but I don't think he's playing MVP level. And same thing with Embiid.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell's good on the Cavs.
He is. I am still interested to see how involved him and Darius Garland kind of coexist in that backcourt. I mean, I think they'll still be fine, but I'm just curious the usage rates and everything once he actually gets back in the lineup. But I think this is the best thing that could have happened because Donovan Mitchell's grown into this role now, grown into it. He's comfortable now playing with these guys. So now hopefully when Garland comes back, it'll kind of be seamless transition.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, enough on the Cavs. I mean, they're winning games.
They look good. They look good. Yeah. Kevin Love off the bench. I said this before the year. Kevin Love off the bench. Karis LeVert is hooping right now. They look good.
I don't really care to talk about some of these teams. We'll talk. No, we'll close with the Hornets. Obviously, I know you're looking on the little side thing. Whoever's watching, and you can see that the Hornets are getting ready.
And that's why you clicked on the episode. You want to see the Hornets talk. You want to hear the Hornets talk. We know that's why. We know that's why you want to listen.
The Hornets just get so many views. That's all everybody cares about. The Charlotte Hornets. The Grizzlies and Timberwolves, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to win 47, 48 games and be kind of the top of the West. They'll be like top 4. I don't know about playoffs.
The Timberwolves are interesting to me because I sent you this video the other day, and it was Karl Anthony Towns on the playing perimeter defense, and it looked like a YMCA kid running around with his head cut off sometimes. I don't think that works. And we've been on this. We know it's not going to work in the playoffs. I just don't know how much better it'll get. Like, they're winning games, but him on the perimeter guarding the stretch fours is just not it to me. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to work.
We'll have to do we'll draft this sometime in December, we have to do the all mentally weak team again.
Him talking about Anthony Edwards' diet, like, bro, he was a number 1 pick. Like, yeah, okay, it's not for you to judge, though. Like, he's clearly a pretty good player in the NBA.
Yeah, of course, there's chemistry problems already in Minnesota.
Still
Cat's
not
the weirdest
a D'Angelo Russell guy. Still not a D'Angelo Russell guy.
No. Desmond Baines might win Most Improved Player.
He looks pretty good,
even though he had a great year. One more team I want to talk about, and then we'll roll into the Hornets. The 76ers, you worried?
A little bit, because I was hot on them coming into the year. That was my number 1 team. Yeah. Well, I took their I took their over 55 wins. So it wasn't their win total, but I took them to win 55 games. I don't see that happening anymore. Tyrese Maxey looks pretty good, though. So if Harden and Embiid can figure it out and stay healthy, I think Tyrese Maxey is a pretty good, dare I say, second option on nights whenever one of them rests or one of them has an off game or something like that. Maxey can go fill it up for 40 points like he did the other night against Toronto.
Tobias Harris is just a broom.
It doesn't fit. Tobias Harris doesn't fit anymore. They don't need him to score the ball. They don't need 16, 17 from him anymore. He's not a good enough defender to have in that lineup. I don't think that piece works anymore. PJ Tucker was a good signing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of Tobias Harris if they start losing.
Watching this Hornets and Sacramento Kings game right now, of course, the Hornets just blow a lead, most predictable thing. I would just if you're betting the NBA and you just see the Hornets are up by 15 plus points on a team, just whatever you do, I don't care what the other team name is, just bet the other team on the live bet. You're going to win money every single time.
Never fails. Remember, you were talking crap about Davion Mitchell, 13 right now. It's not even halftime.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying I thought he'd be better,
He hasn't been given that much of an opportunity. They play him like 10 minutes a game this year.
Yeah, that's another team I am worried about. I was pretty high on the Kings, but
they have the pieces. Actually, let's touch on this because you talked about Harrison Barnes a lot. He's done.
He's cooked.
He's tired. Cooked. He's tired of playing.
Oh, a Plumlee dunk. Yeah, he's done. He's checked out, man. It seems
like he's tired. He's tired of playing for a bad team, which I don't blame him. Sacramento's where careers go to die.
Seems so. My goodness. Let's talk about the Hornets. Let's close on the Hornets.
Let's do it.
We'll do college basketball next week when college basketball is back on. That first Monday, we'll be recording during all those games. So
we could.
We'll do it next week. The Hornets. Another bad team, good thing. We didn't mention them earlier. Obviously, we said Mortal Lock, our favorite bet of the year, was under win total for the Hornets. Why are they good? Is it the team basketball aspect?
As much as you've said this in this episode, I think it's a little bit of that. Honestly, effort. I really think it's effort. For some weird reason, I don't know how, Steve Clifford has this locker room. He won them over in the effort and grit and grind. Like, do you see them trying on defense? Yeah. Every game they've even lost, they've been in. They've actually tried. There hasn't been one of those games like last year where it's like, well, maybe the Magic game. That's the one outlier. But for the majority of it, they're locked in, they're bought in, they're not giving up in the second quarter when they're down by 15. Because at some points last year, you could watch a Hornets game and be like, they're done. They will legitimately lose no matter what when they're down by like 12 starting a third quarter or something like that. If they don't go on a little third quarter run last year, they were cooked. And this year, I don't believe that. I think they can come back. They can get back at teams who are up big on them because they're actually trying. And that's rare to see in the NBA regular season, I feel like.
So I had this analogy for you before we started the show. I didn't spoil it for you before. I want to spoil it. Let's do it now. Is Dennis Smith the Geno Smith of the NBA right now?
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Kind of a high draft pick coming in, a lot of expectations. Dare say a bust. Bounced around to a couple teams.
I mean, he was terrible. Dennis Smith and Geno Smith were terrible. I mean, terrible every year of their career until now.
Bounced around as backups, didn't play much. We're off teams for a while.
Come back this year. Super exciting players in college.
Yeah, and now they're leading a mid-tier team above expectations. That's pretty good. I'm impressed. I gotta say.
I was cooking that for 2 days.
He looks good, dude.
He's amazing. He's so fun to watch. This is exactly what we all thought was coming out of NC State when he came into the NBA. And it looks like the weight he put on. He mentioned he was getting ready to try out for the NFL. It looks like the weight he put on actually helped him.
It helped his defense for sure. He's bodying these guys up in the lane. I wouldn't say he clamped up.
Speaking of which, he just boxed out Alex Len. I don't know if that's saying anything.
On the Warriors game the other night, last possession of the game, he clamped up Curry just for that one possession at least. Game on the line.
I mean, he just came back into the game. The Hornets are on a 7-0 run.
He just put that in. Dude, he's so tough. It just takes some guys a little longer to develop. And that's why it sucks when some guys get written off after their second or third year. And you're like, they weren't given a fair shot. I love it when people like this work out and they a little comeback story. Because he legitimately, he's going to play a huge role for the Hornets this year.
One more thing I wanted to add to the Hornets. What team is going to is going to overpay for PJ Washington? Because he's in his contract year. I think this is the best PJ Washington you're ever going to get. He's the classic guy. He's like, yeah, he actually put up like 17 points a game in his contract year. And then the next year he averages 9.
Who would overpay for PJ Washington?
The Pistons?
I don't know if they're competitive enough to make a move like that right now. The Heat?
The Pistons are going to put all their chips in the Draymond Green stakes.
On what?
The Draymond Green. Draymond Green's going to.
Oh, the Green state. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know what team that would want PJ. I mean, I want to say a team that's like wanting to contend and they're like not meeting expectations. It's a little too early in the year to pick one out right now. I'm not sure.
Let's rephrase that question. Will a team overpay for PJ Washington?
I think they'll try. It's whether or not the Hornets are willing to part with him. It depends on where the Hornets are at the time the offer is made. Because if LaMelo comes back and Terry comes back and all of a sudden they're fighting for a playing spot, they won't move him. I don't think they'll move him. The only way the Hornets move on from PJ is if they're legitimately like 13th in the conference.
I don't want to overpay for PJ. I was iffy. I was worried about giving Miles Bridges the max. If PJ Washington continues to play the way he is right now, which is unbelievable. Also, Dennis Smith is so good. Dennis Smith Jr. is so good.
So good.
There's talks in this household of me buying a Dennis Smith Jr. jersey.
Coming into the year, I did not think he would play more than maybe like 9-10 minutes a game.
And one more thing on the Hornets. Why is Nick Richards actually why is he actually good?
The Steve Clifford is the Nick Richards whisperer. I don't understand it. I will legitimately say that is one dude that I was dead wrong on because I was convinced I would have bet my house on it that him and Vernon Carey were going down the same path.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we would get mad that Vernon Carey wasn't getting in over Nick Richards.
At the time, that's not so crazy. But
this
year's insane. I don't get it. He just looks more comfortable out there. He's catching the ball. I think the biggest step up for him this year has just been awareness, catching the ball, being strong.
That's it.
No. Being decisive. Being decisive.
You said it. Catching the ball.
Awareness.
So many of his problems just can't come down to, can you catch the ball? Can you not be like your predecessor, Bismack Biyombo?
Yeah, and that's what it was early in his career.
I love you, Bismack.
What?
I love you, Bismack.
Oh, of course.
Come on, you couldn't catch the ball to save your life. He plays with other mitts on.
Yeah, that's rough.
Mark Williams and Kai Jones are going to absolutely rule the Greensboro Swarm. The Greensboro Swarm might be a G League team to watch out for.
They will be
if
fun.
You're like, I have a G League team in my area, the Greensboro Swarm are coming.
Yeah,
kind of a fun team to go see. Carson
Jello's
Edwards,
playing.
His Yoli Childs.
Yep. It'll be a good year.
I will say this though. I'm not worried about the Hornets win total.
I
still think it goes under. I
think they start slumping here pretty soon, to be completely honest.
Are they going to be bad? Are they going to be worse when LaMelo comes back?
Worse? They're going to play a different brand of basketball because he's not going to.
He's not going to play defense like this.
He's not going to play this team brand of like pack line defense, crazy rotations. He's going to go for a steal, and if he doesn't get it, the other team's going to have a 5-on-4.
We got to watch this. 5 seconds left.
I know. I want to see this. I'll see you yakking this. No way. I thought it'd been cool. 15-point lead for the Hornets in halftime, though. Live bet the Kings right now. I might go do it.
Yeah, exactly. Live bet the Kings right now. It's the easiest bet in sports. But anything else in the NBA?
No, it's been an interesting 2 weeks. This is not going how I expected it to. And I know it's early, but I still didn't expect it to be like this lopsided.
Oh, One team I did want to touch on, we won't do it right now. I just want to say we were right about the Miami Heat.
Oh, yeah. I went to one of their games in person. Kyle Lowry's done. They just don't have enough talent.
The all-wash team, Kyle Lowry, Harrison Barnes.
Oh, God. Kyle
Come
Lowry,
on the top of our heads. We got to come up with 5.
The all-wash team. Kyle Lowry, Harrison Barnes.
Of this year. You can't count Udonis Haslem because he's not even a real NBA player.
Right. Of this year. Oh, my God, this is hard. Do you have another one?
No, I'm trying to think off the top of my
head. What's the criteria? Did they have to have been, like, pretty good beforehand?
They had to be pretty good beforehand, I think. Harrison Barnes level, like, good. Beforehand.
Harrison Barnes level good. That's a good one.
I think he's the border for it.
Oh, my gosh. This is tough.
Westbrook. Duh.
Westbrook's probably on there.
Has to be.
What about Serge Ibaka for the Bucks? He doesn't get enough minutes for that to really count, though. Blake Griffin, maybe? Blake Griffin's pretty washed.
Blake Griffin is washed. Blake Griffin's pretty washed.
Blake Griffin is pretty washed. I mean, we can go as far as say like Iguodala.
He's in the Udonis Haslem.
Yeah.
He's in the Udonis Haslem category.
This is tough
because the big men just they just die. They don't like stick around.
No, exactly. And if you would have asked me before the season, I would have said like 5 players on the Jazz. But I can't say Kelly Olynyk. I can't say Lauri Markkanen. I can't say Colin Sexton.
I'm trying to do this right now. This is hard.
What about somebody on the Clippers? Is Batum up there? I think Batum's on there.
Batum could be all washed because he was pretty good. He had his little renaissance these last 2 years. And if you watch him now, it's over.
What about DeAndre Jordan? He plays pretty good minutes for the Nuggets. Like he plays a lot of minutes.
I think that's fair. I think DeAndre Jordan's fair. I mean, he's the number 2-5 guy on the Nuggets.
Harrison Barnes is a good one. That's the best one. But D Rose is a little washed up this year. He doesn't look as quick.
He's not as bad though. Like,
no.
Kyle Lowry isn't as bad either, but
no.
Like we hate Kyle Lowry on this podcast, obviously. So
we'll
like
put
he
him
has
up
to
there,
be put in there. So the NBA all-wash team is Kyle Lowry, Russell Westbrook, Harrison Barnes, DeAndre Jordan, and then who else?
Who else are we saying? We got to have a 5th.
Is Chandler Parsons still in the league? Tobias Harris. I
was thinking him. Does that count?
I think Tobias Harris absolutely counts because he made an all-star game, right?
Yeah. I think he was close. I don't know if he actually made one.
He's about the same level as Harrison Barnes was. Like Harrison Barnes at his peak and Tobias Harris at his peak. Kind of.
So we're saying Tobias Harris is like washed up this year, though.
I think he's done.
I think so too. I think Tyrese Maxey's completely usurped him in that lineup.
There we go. I know I'm gonna get texts and DMs about this right after. Like, you guys missed the most obvious one.
Yeah,
I know. 100% we did. 100%. We're gonna get off this podcast and you're gonna text me like, how did we miss this dude on the Wizards?
I know. I'm literally. Oh, I got. Okay. I just looked at the Pacers roster. Neither of these guys were as good as we're saying. Daniel Tyson, James Johnson, completely irrelevant now.
They weren't ever good enough though. Because like DeAndre Jordan did make an all-star game.
DeAndre Jordan was all NBA first team at one point.
Yeah, so I'm not. He's absolutely
that is 100%. Yeah. What about Andre Drummond?
That's not bad. He could be in there.
I think that's a good one. Goran Dragic is another good one.
Goran Dragic's done
because he was an all-star.
How old is Harrison Barnes? Isn't that old though?
Mid-30s, maybe.
No, he's probably like 31.
I guarantee. Is he?
31, 32. He was drafted in 11, right? Or 12. He was drafted in 12. Played 2 years at Carolina.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's 30. He's only 30.
Yeah, he's only 30.
Like, that's an old 30. Done. That's a lot of miles on 30. That's a lot of miles on 30. That's a lot of years in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, 3 years in Sacramento is the same thing as 15 on the Warriors.
Oh, 100%.
All right, we'll do college basketball next week. We'll be back on Thursday with our football podcast. The parlay, man, the parlay is just begging to get hit. I love how the significant others parlay went 0-4.
It gave me more confidence in ourselves. Like, okay, it actually takes a little bit of skill to get these right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a little thought process. You can't just go in there randomly.
A little reverse psychology here. It's harder to go 0-4 than 3-1.
I dare say it is. Because
0-4 is hard.
If you pick 4 games blindly, odds are one's going to be a winner.
From this podcast, we have managed to have 3 0-4 parlays this year.
If you're betting the reverse parlay, you're positive right now.
It's about the same as if you bet the regular parlay, yeah.
Okay. For college football, at least.
College football, you are cashing. We can't hit anything in college football. We suck at college football.
It's just so unpredictable. We don't have to get into this right now.
We just have to get one in college football. Just one.
It's due. It's honestly due.
But all right, that'll do it from us. Make sure to check out KarterKast.com. We are doing Dylan's now writing on there. Connor, you got to get back on the grind.
I know. I wrote a couple banger articles back in February about Borrego getting fired. Spot on, by the way. Yeah, I'm getting back on there. I need to do that again because my first couple were a little long, so I need to shorten it up a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna get these short blogs. We're gonna do more blogs, and like not as long. They're sometimes might have been too long too. I was gonna do, like ACC preview stuff. I'll do some college basketball stuff. For November, the goal is November. I post 1 to 2 blogs a day. Every single day, I'm going to be posting 1 to 2 blogs.
A day?
Well,
there is a lot of sports coming out, so I don't think that's impossible.
1 to 2 blogs a day minimum. I have to. I've been so behind. I've been promising to people that I will write all these blogs. We have Dylan on here now. Dylan's out blogging me, and he joined us last night. He joined us on Sunday. This is a blog Monday. That's how Dylan works.
I've been working on this one blog for the last 8 months, so it's going to be good. Promise.
It's going to be college basketball preview. Carolina to win the championship at plus 800.
Now I know what you're thinking here. Do it anyways.
But yeah, I'm doing minimum 30 to 35 blogs in November. How many days are in November? 31 or 30?
30 days, right? Half September, April, June, and November. Yeah, 30 days in November.
There we go. Yeah, so at minimum 30 blogs in November. One will be posted every single day. I'm getting back on the grind, baby.
Cooking up content. Let's go.
Cooking up 2 right now. And then I'll also got Hornets articles coming out on the Hornets Lead, the Lead website. Those will be coming out later this week. Cooking those up right now too. Getting in the lab, and then I got to get my NFL picks. We were killing it. We killed it yesterday.
We had a great day yesterday in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Shout out Dylan. We'll go over this on the podcast. Derrick Henry, Mortal Lock. Shout out. We just had a great day in general, honestly.
Yeah.
Huge day.
Great day. The anytime touchdowns were on fire yesterday. On fire. Plus 20 units in the props and anytime touchdown.
You want to know what else was on fire? Any type of McCaffrey prop. I took like 4.
Yeah, I did too.
Money. Because I just knew. Because the odds were low, or the numbers were low, because they're like, oh, this will be his first full week. How much are they going to involve him? I cashed every single one.
But yeah, make sure to check that out. Connor, we are demanding at least 3 blogs from you this month.
Oh, I can do
3
that.
blogs. 3 blogs is not that money. Not that much.
Oh, I know.
3 blogs.
I got you.
We'll get those posted. Yeah.
If I don't hit 3, then just don't send the paycheck.
All right, we won't send the cookout tray. We pay in cookout trays here. All right, that'll do it. Make sure to check out TikTok. Our TikToks are doing well. Check out YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Boosting that up too. We're growing. We're growing.
We are. The cast is here.
We're here to stay. We're going to be pumping out content all November. November is going to be bananas.
Huge month.
I may not sleep. I may just get a prescription of Adderall to stay up to watch all these sports.
There's certain days, like when the World Cup starts, it'll be from like 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. nonstop.
Because, and I'm on mountain time. So, and Argentina plays at 3 a.m. against Saudi Arabia. I'm waking up at 2:45 in the morning to watch Messi play in the World Cup, in his last World Cup. I'm not missing that for the world.
Yeah.
I don't need sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Fair enough. You don't sleep during the Hornets third quarter.
No, we got to stay awake. We have the Kings plus 15.5. All right, that'll do it from us. Thank you, guys. We'll see y'all Thursday for the football show. Love you guys. Bye.